We are, look, I'm excited because we actually got the deputy right now, the executive officer, Lieutenant Colonel Kyle Hogan, who is out of the 160 Special Operations Aviation Regiment, and he's got a really unique perspective. We were talking about it briefly last night that I think you will all enjoy on the integration of depot-level maintenance and how they do that in the Special Operations Forces operations. So, Kyle?
Go ahead and push the video, please. Good morning, aviation leaders, both past and present, civilian industry partners. Welcome to the Special Operations Aviation Update portion of the Luther Jones Forum. I figured I'd start out with a cool video because it's way more interesting to listen to me talk the whole time, and at least I have your attention for the first 5 minutes. My goal here this morning is to simply discuss how the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment Airborne is similar to a standard Army Combat Aviation Brigade, highlighting a couple of aspects that run in parallel. Then shift to how the unit's a bit different than a cab, and closing with a couple of examples how the unit gives back to the aviation enterprise as a whole. We, just like the rest of the Army, are working diligently to build our readiness as our #1 priority, with leader development as a close second. What I'm sharing with you this morning is shaped through those two lenses: readiness as a focus, the training and supply equipment aspect, and then how we dovetail that right into leader development. Now that I've provided a bit of the ground rules, I'll delve into similarities between the 160th and a cab. For all those that are not tracking, the 160th is an Army unit. Pause for comedic effect. We get haircuts, we wear a uniform, and we fly aircraft with U.S. Army stenciled right on the side, as you can see right there on that Chinook. We resemble a standard cab for most of the structure for what we do, although we have some specialized skill set that are just outside of that. We have a regimental psychologist on staff, we have a liaison engineer on staff, and some higher grade plates in some critical areas. I myself is a former battalion commander who's serving as a regimental XO. But outside of that, generally our structure resembles that of a cab. We follow a standard brigade type hierarchy. We have battalions, we have staffs, we have companies, platoons, and sections. We struggle with manning, with training, with retention. Our soldiers PCS, retire, and ETS. There are no special protections against that for our organization. The 160th reports both operationally and administrative to a higher headquarters. The United States Special Operations Aviation Command, use of SOAC. We have challenges with our MedPro status, with our OR rates, and with USR crew manning. We're also struggling with similar challenges to the 10th Cab right now as we're fielding aircraft notebook. How do we define objective T? The regiment is required to follow normal aviation professional military education practices as well. We send soldiers to SLC, to BLC. We send officers to the career course and the CGSC. Those requirements challenge each and every organization on how they leverage those movements and departures. We have a force cap limit. If I've got 100 great 15 uniformed staff sergeants, when the results of the Sergeant First Class Board come out, that's a huge cut for us, and I can only keep about half of those. We don't get to bend the rules just to keep leaders in overstrength numbers. We fly Army aircraft. Admittedly, they're slightly modified and painted black, but at the end of the day, they belong to the Army. For 2 to 3 MDSs, we leveraged the commonality of some of those parts to ensure we have built our combat power, our readiness, and maintained it at the required operational readiness rate commensurate with the rest of the Army. Our SSA is part of the AMC system, although we do have some hybrids with our civilian parts that are in there. We often share parts CONUS with the 101st and occasionally OCONUS when we're co-located with the CAB Aviation Task Force. Our geographical cohabitation of Campbell Army Airfield lends itself to supporting the 101st, although we don't play favorites. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about how we're different. The 160th, because of the fluid and dynamic deployment requirements, we heavily leverage automation technology and business practices to enable effectiveness, utilizing dashboards and various other software systems that show us our cost drivers, how we fly, when we fly, and how do I maximize my maintenance capacity to affect the potential for need. When do we surge? Where do we assume risk? Utilizing available technology gives us an advantage over paper or Microsoft Office as a program of record. It enables our commanders to build combat power while leveraging technology to make informed decisions with regard to risk mitigation. What risk can I assume on this trip? Can I reduce the people that are going to support it? Can I reduce the parts? What package do I have to send? At the use of SOAC enterprise level, we have a distinct opportunity to rapidly test and field new equipment for the betterment of the organization. Our wired test sets, the wind deflectors, white phosphorus NVGs, our digital automated flight control systems are all actions that we were able to rapidly field. We accomplish this while ensuring safety and cost effectiveness, but actions executed in a smaller formation. I think we're fielding for 1 versus 11 cabs. It allows for some increased flexibility. Utilizing recent experience, we send seasoned line pilots to serve in our greater enterprise base to train and develop both the new crew members and to work on our technological advancements. All 3 of our supporting elements in the use of SOAC Enterprise, our Special Operations Aviation Training Battalion, or SOAP-B, the Procurement Directorate, Systems Integration Management Office, or SIMO, and the Sustainment Directorate, the Aviation Maintenance Support Office, or AMSO, take pilots right from the line to help train, procure, and sustain the metal that we must fight. The professional progression of every Night Stalker resembles in name that of our aviation flight crew members, from basic mission trained to basic mission qualified to fully mission qualified, or BMT to BMQ to FMQ, using a very deliberate and objective standard which is continuously monitored and adjusted to ensure each position within the organization is ready to perform their wartime mission and certified prior to deployment. The unit builds training readiness through a structured TRADOC approved process that gives a standard baseline for every Night Stalker. The methodology applied to every MOS, both aviation-related and enabler-related, so whether you're a logistics specialist or an aviation crew member, everybody has the same baseline. As the individual continues their progression within the unit, readiness is continuing to be built through a deliberate process. The training can be accomplished in a variety of locations and includes a wide spectrum of requirements to build that breadth of knowledge that's expected of every one of our soldiers. Autonomous operations and the execution of mission command process require disciplined initiative. but to do so requires a baseline of knowledge and experience to ensure the right amount of risk acceptance is applied at the right level. An example of this is where we utilize our logbooks to auto-populate our MOS job books. We're taking a deliberate training process and automating it, something that has not been done for years. Over time, we've simply used a simple paper notebook as served the soldiers in their endeavor to develop their technical skill set. The process demonstrates the possibility of linking current systems, i.e. ACN, with our Smart Suite technology to automate this process and development. With this dashboard, we are automating our maintenance readiness level for our soldiers, which also mirrors our aircraft. This is beneficial for both tracking progressions and currencies on a specific task. You can forecast who is most proficient for an operation on a float staging base, for example, while preparing a training plan for those who are less proficient. Now we can PCS soldiers across the organization, and they can carry with them their job books automated, which is their maintenance resume, similar to what our aviation crew members have been doing for years. Think CAFers for maintainers. I'm going to talk a little bit about how the unit gives back. As the unit exploits technology and commercial off-the-shelf options, our internal validation system provides a venue for fielding and utilization. Now, once the unit receives an AWR and validates that particular technology, it can be exported back to the conventional force. The removable door pins on the crew doors for the UH-60 and the H-47 Air Transportability Kit, or the ATK kit, are two examples of that, how the unit gives back. We also give back through lessons learned, knowledge gained, and knowledge shared throughout the enterprise. In August, we culminated our advanced tactics training, and it's another aspect of how the unit is giving back in multiple levels. While the TAC Ops guys were chomping at the bit to be part of a great event, it was another venue for the unit to test, certify new methods for expeditionary maintenance capacity. While all the smart folks were looking at the enemy and how to counter those actions tactically, a group of us diligently planned how to push P4, T3 as far forward as possible. What critical components are included in our expeditionary parts packages? Who can we leverage across our MDSs, and where can we assume risk? How is this going to support the mission? As is the norm for the Department of Defense, the textbook answers and MTO changes are years behind what the warfighter needs right now. As the 160 develops and validates new TTPs for extending operational reach of an aviation task force commander, we ensure our CAB partners are provided these TTPs during discussions, LPDs, and brown bag lunches. These initiatives help the entire enterprise solve complex problems collectively. Leaving the answers in one any organization does the group no good. As previously mentioned, the 160th operates as an Army unit with force caps and an established MTO. Many top-quality NCOs and commissioned officers depart the organization and return to the conventional force. These leaders are high-performing soldiers who return to the conventional force structure and bring with them a kit bag full of experiences and knowledge. I have seen multiple examples of these superstars serving successfully across the aviation enterprise. After a long and successful tour, think of maybe a specialist disarmed first class or captain, lieutenant colonel, I've witnessed what are now referred to as former Night Stalkers who are selected to serve within every cab across the Army's footprint. Collectively, in roles they are trusted with, they are building readiness for their respective units through scheduled and unscheduled maintenance, ground vehicle maintenance, and leader development. They are training young soldiers to support their teammates. Nothing in that description screams the 160th, but what they're able to bring to the table is a skill set just slightly different from their traditional soldier. While they come with a full resume to the unit, they also garner and learn from those around them in every position they hold. My point is that they are not better than their CAB peers, only they were provided an opportunity for exposure in different environments. And when they depart their respective formations, the intent always remains that they left the units better than when they arrived, that they always support their teammates, and they teach their soldiers to never give up and to face each challenge as an opportunity to make you better. This is just a quick snapshot of those cabs that are co-located with Army unit or our units and the leadership that are manned with former Night Stalkers. Take a little bit of time to examine this slide, and for all the tacticians in the room, this is a complex problem consisting of distance, timing, coordination with coalition and international partners while operating in a joint environment. It was an opportunity to close with and destroy the enemy against a highly skilled and defended adversary. Here is where we leverage automation, smart suite technology, and to plan where to assume risk. Where can we forward stage our DART team? How do we use talent to enable expeditionary capacity to support a mission. What problems can I solve with a backpack, a tablet, and a tough box? Who can lead this effort? Do I need an expert from each MDS, or can we cross-pollinate from each? For a maintenance test pilot to serve as a fully mission-qualified trip officer in charge, they have to speak maintenance on all MDSs to include UAS. They don't necessarily have to fly each or be qualified in each airframe, but they need to be educated on the special tools required, the common challenges faced by each, and the idiosyncrasies each MDS brings to the fight. This is where the culmination of education and training, experience, technology, and rapid equipment fielding meet mission command and execution. Flexible maintenance packages that meet the fluidity of the environment and the reactions to the enemy to enable success for the commander. In closing, I'd like to express a sincere thanks to Quad A for allowing me to share with the audience some insights on how the 160th builds readiness. While we're developing our leaders, how we strive to ensure our position of advantage is shared with our CAB teammates, how the unit strives to make the entire enterprise better. The 160th was built from a failed operation and identified a hole in our armor, and we strive each and every day to ensure those holes are filled and that our teammates have what they need to not only succeed, but excel as well. And with that, I'll take a few questions. If I can't answer it directly, I do have some SMEs in the room to help me facilitate discussion and/or answers.
I'm telling you, they're all looking for one of you to ask a question. Otherwise, I have to turn around and do it. Ah, see, brave man.
So how does the 160th Special Operations build component repair expertise within their soldier workforce?
I'm sorry, Mr. Gillette, could you repeat that? I'm having trouble hearing.
How do you build component repair expertise within your workforce for soldiers?
So we do it over time. We do it through a deliberate training process, and we maximize commercial training opportunities that they present themselves so we can leverage the individual to be able to accomplish component repair in an austere environment, whether that's getting FCC qualified for a avionics repairer or paying for somebody's A&P to be able to accomplish a non-standard repair. Did that answer your question?
Other questions? Kyle, you want to talk a little bit about how you take advantage of the opportunity to send soldiers down to Corpus Christi, work at the depot side by side, and then how you brought depot folks up to
Absolutely.
work with you? Thanks.
Whether it's with the Lara University or the Artesian program, the biggest challenge we have is how do we maximize our time, most precious resource we have, and that's no secret to anybody else. Ensuring that part of that deliberate training process is to allow for that time to develop a young soldier to become a training NCO later on. So you allow them to come down to Corpus Christi, spend up to 6 weeks with a seasoned professional here at CCAD. They can bring that experience base back to the organization and train those around them. If that answers your question, sir.
Questions? I turned the mic off because I was having a separate conversation. Come on, folks. Well, I'll tell you what, while you're standing up there, what I thought I would do is let Sergeant Renth tell everybody about his training with you and
Absolutely.
where he is heading off to and how you, as a 15 Golf, hey, it's all right, man. It's good. Trust me. They don't bite. Okay. And if they do, I bite back, so it's okay.
As Colonel Hogan talked about before, we use the FMQ program to go over training different people, and you start as a basic mission trained, and as you go through the program, by the time you become fully mission qualified, you'll be able to handle whatever task may be thrown your way, and as well as, for example, the regiment is going to be sending me to a school called Aviation. It's an advanced composite course, and I've already been to the first 2, and I'll be going to 3 here in the next couple weeks.
That help answer? I'm slowly pulling it out, okay? Yeah. Yeah, and they also do a lot. I wish Colonel Atkins was in here because they also do a lot where they'll bring soldiers. The Guard has taken and the 160th has taken a lot of advantage of it coming in here. But what they do is you can come down and join and be part of the workforce down here in component repair or aircraft repair And so you're side by side with artisans for a period of time. You learn the skill and you can take it back to the unit. Not only do you get to take it back to the unit, but you take back the contacts that you've made down here that allow you to call the right people, ask the right questions, and oddly enough, actually get permission to sometimes do work that is normally outside your skill set. Is that a fair statement?
It is.
Anybody else got another question? Okay, General Riggs, sir.
Just a quick one. Kyle, a regimental workload, has it peaked, subsided, staying about the same? I mean, are your deployments still as onerous as they were in the past?
So the demand has not gone down, it's only gone up. So we operate with a force of about 3,400 soldiers, and the demand, we're operating in 6 countries right now, 6 different mission nodes. I don't see the demand going down anytime soon. So as I spoke to earlier, our challenges both with manning, training, equipping, and fielding, they never stop. It's a circular problem set. We're fortunate enough to have some depth in who we keep and how long we keep them, but as I spoke to, nobody gets to stay forever.
Any other questions? I mean, one of the issues that you ought to know is, I mean, there is a true symbiotic relationship, which is what what Kyle was talking about, and how you take and how you give back. But one of the problems is when Fort Rucker isn't producing to the required load, which we had a problem, and you can't make it up overnight, but when you end up being short pilots, that we are, that only impacts the 160th because they've got to go to the same pool, and when you're short, you're short. I mean, it isn't like there's extra people around there. So it has had an impact on your manning levels as well. So, you know, when you talk about this enterprise, and we keep talking about it, it is how it all comes together and how it all impacts one place or the other. So, yes, sir.
Good brief. As you look at the total cost of ownership, your software programs, your ability to connect to the soldier's job book, and the 160th is different, but you're not different. Aircraft reliability, sustainability, maintenance is all the same. And we're about to enter the world of future vertical lift. And what you're really talking about is a digital thread that goes from your soldier, from your tactical operations to strategic operations. And so how do we accelerate learning from you guys into the Army so we're ready for the digital thread that helps Colonel Atkins better maintain aircraft, overhaul, and how do we accelerate that? That's an opinion question.
In my opinion, again, come talk to us. Our doors are always open. And that's been the 14 years I've been in and out of the organization, that's been a standing edict from the regimental commander, is we are teammates first. We have a mission to accomplish, and we'll execute that. But if there are lessons we can share, come talk to us. There's a group from the 601st ASB. They're on their way up, I believe, next week, Rob. Does that sound right? So 25th, 209th ASB has come 2 or 3 times. We've always opened the doors for cross-pollination and education for those around us. I think that gets to the answer you're looking for, sir.
Thanks, Kyle. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule and being here with us today.